We appear to be live. I'm just waiting for the confirmation before we get cracking with this week's episode. And I'm just going to put it out there that today's title has absolutely nothing to do with the contents of the episode. It's just an accurate depiction of my day so far. I have just attempted to bake a cake. Not particularly good at baking. I'm not particularly good in the kitchen either, to be honest. I just use what I like to call the shit or bust method, where you throw everything into a pan and kind of hope for the best. So that's what I've attempted to do with a cake. It's currently in the oven at the moment, so I'll let you know how it comes out. But, you know, at least I've tried, made a cake, cleaned up the kitchen. I think we can say move over, Nigella, because I'm here. But in all seriousness, today's episode is going to touch on energy. Okay. It's kind of an impromptu one because it's something that came to me while I was having a little look on Instagram this morning. The Rock put up a video of himself training late last night, and he was just kind of doing his usual motivation of, even if you're tired, go get after it, all that kind of stuff. But the reality of it is, if you are tired and you are fatigued, it becomes very hard to do things. So I wanted to use today's episode as a way of giving you some extra kind of energy tips and things that you can try and implement to help manage your energy better. Because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. It's about managing your energy. You've heard me talk about it before. It's this 4-dimensional approach where we manage our physical energy, our mental energy, our spiritual energy, and our emotional energy. And if one starts to slip a little bit, or we put too much emphasis on one and not the others, then we end up losing that level of balance that we need. So I'm just going to give you a few tips today to kind of help you with that. I've often been called an energizer bunny as a joke from some of my old clients. But the reality of it is I do get tired. I get very tired. But I manage it, and I manage it pretty well. And I think with some of the things that we're going to talk about in a minute, if you implement them, they'll help you manage your energy better as well. So if we start to break it down, the first thing is obviously our physical energy. That's the one thing that most people think of when we talk about being tired or we talk about energy. They automatically think of physical. And of course, it goes beyond that, but that's a nice starting point. I think when it comes to physical energy, it's really important that we learn to differentiate between when we need to move and when we need to sleep. Because more often than not, we feel tired because we have not moved enough. So having some form of movement every day is really important. Not to the point where you're killing yourself and doing some crazy CrossFit style stuff, you know, because if you're doing that level of training, then you need to be able to recover. And if you can't recover effectively, you're going to get even more tired and burnt out. But we want some kind of movement that encourages a greater level of energy. So for me at the moment, I've always kind of been on the train really hard and then back off when I burn out type of thing. So I've been working on managing that. At the minute, I do 2 harder sessions during the week. So heavy weights, low volume, and then mix it up with some kicking practice and some kind of high intensity stuff to work on conditioning. But, you know, in and out within an hour and 20 minutes at the most. And then on the other days, and even sometimes on the same day, I'll do some form of movement, mobility. At the minute, I'm doing a lot of DDP yoga, which, despite one of my old clients messaging me the other day, it's not funny yoga, as I would like to call it. It's harder than that. So it's a bit more, a bit more emphasis on body weight, isometrics, as well as that level of stretch and mobility and stuff. So learning to incorporate some kind of movement that energizes you without destroying you is a huge thing. And that could be as simple as walking. You know, I walk a lot. I like to try and go out for walks where possible. So just getting in that movement. If you feel tired, try and differentiate between, do I need to sleep? You know, am I falling asleep here? Or do I actually need to get up and move? Because that makes all the difference. So that's kind of the first thing. And then within that kind of physicality, we also want to be thinking about, are we hydrating ourselves enough? Most people are not. So that's something that I make a point of doing right away. But also cutting out caffeine, or cutting it down, should I say, has been a huge, huge thing for me. Years ago, when I used to work in a golf centre, the number of cups of coffee I'd drink in a day is just ridiculous. It was almost like we had a competition to see who could drink the most cups of tea and coffee in the day. I think part of it was just to pass some time in the winter, but it became a very unhealthy habit. And I wouldn't just have a spoon of coffee, I would have like 2 spoons of coffee, which is definitely not healthy. So I started to cut it back, and now we're at the point where I have one coffee in the morning, good quality coffee made in the cafetiere rather than cheap crap coffee, and that's it. If I'm having a particularly long day, then I may have a second one, 2 o'clock-ish, but starting to avoid that excess amount of caffeine, particularly after 3 o'clock, has made a big difference, because it has helped with sleeping better as well. And I know if I start to maybe slip in a coffee at 3-4 o'clock, then I'm not going to sleep. And obviously sleep is hugely important to your physical energy. So being mindful of your caffeine intake helps a lot. The other thing within that is watching out for your mental stimulants, okay? So the stuff that you're consuming externally, so the news, the people around you, the social media, all that kind of crap that, can set you off balance and upset you, and shift your focus away from the things that you want to be focusing on. For me, I try and stay out of that. Usually I don't actually know what's going on in the news, because unless it's relevant, I don't watch it, because it's not necessary. If it's not something that moves me forward, then I'm not interested. I'm not going to give my time and my energy to things that I don't care about, and that aren't part of what I'm currently working on. My time will go on the things that matter to me, so there's minimal waste. And that is another key part of managing your mental energy. Instead of having it spread everywhere and divided amongst all these different sources, having it brought in and having a better level of focus is super, super important. Having the ability to control your awareness and put it on what matters to you, rather than it having it pulled everywhere, and putting energy on all these different things, that's going to make you feel a hell of a lot better. It's going to make you feel more energetic. It's going to make you feel more focused. So learning that skill is really important, as well as having a clear intention every day. So mentally, we want an intention for each day, and to be able to focus on that, like I said, rather than having our focus split everywhere, our awareness pulled all over the shop. You've heard me talk about that before, so I'm not going to kind of go into that. But having that clear intention every day, knowing what you're going to do, what you're going to work on, what you're going to focus in on. Because if you don't have a plan and you don't have clarity, then you're floating all over the place. We want to be directing our energy at something rather than having it pulled. So that's a big one for kind of mental energy. If we think emotionally, we want to be doing something to help ourselves emotionally every day. So a form of a clear out, rather than having things weighing us down and making us heavier and taking up extra energy, we want to be letting go of those things, clearing them out. So using that emotional clearing technique that's in the prosperity pack, that is ideal for that. And that's something that I do every single day, is just take those things that are draining you emotionally, that are weighing you down, and clearing them out, shifting the energy around them, making a change, so that you are able to deal with whatever's coming towards you, rather than having all this energy tied up in your emotions. So that's a big one. And then obviously the other fourth element would be spiritually. So whether you're religious or not, that's either having some form of connection to something outside of yourself, in your own world, or within your relationship, be that with a god of some sort, or just the people in your world. But also having that in a connection with yourself, doing things for yourself, for other people, out of self-respect and out of love, rather than having to do things because you feel like you should do them, but we're actually doing them from a place of love and respect and care, and kind of connection, rather than just because we think we should. Makes a big, big difference. And it really does help control your energy when you can take command of these 4 areas and do a little bit every day around them. Big, big difference. Okay. for me, a lot of it comes down to putting my priorities first and being unwavering in my commitment to the time that I allocate to whatever my tasks are for that day. And then, you know, to sit inside of that and create something, which again, you know, working through something that is creative for you, something that you care about, something that lights you up, gives you more energy. If you're sat working on something you hate and you have no interest in, that is not going to help your energy levels. It's going to sap them. It's going to make you feel tired. But when you work on something you give a shit about, it wakes you up. It makes you feel more alive. So there's that as well. And then on the flip side of that, there's also having the time to find a little bit of stillness and a little bit of silence every day, so that you can really appreciate how you're feeling and get a better understanding of yourself, and kind of being able to differentiate between what you actually need. You know, I'm tired, right? Why am I tired? Am I mentally tired? Am I physically tired? Am I spiritually tired? Am I emotionally tired? And when you can build that level of self-awareness, and you can sit and be still and be silent and listen to yourself and understand what you actually need, then you can go out and deal with that, and you can go and do that and lift your own energy, rather than feeling like you need to either sleep or, you know, go binge watch something on Netflix in an effort to have a rest. You know, there's different kinds of rests. There's rests that lift you up, activities that make you feel better, and then there's things that sedate you and make you feel even more tired. So a lot of it comes back to self-awareness, and the more self-aware you are and the better you get at figuring yourself out and understanding what you need, the easier it is, you know, knowing when you need to sleep, when you need to move, when you need a mental break, when you need to clear some emotional stuff out, when you need to maybe connect with the people around you a little bit more. It's all about self-awareness and self-learning. So there's a few little kind of tips in there for you around managing your energy better, looking at this kind of 4-dimensional approach, and kind of a little bit of insight into the things that I do every day. So that's it for today. I am going to go make sure the cake is not burning, and hopefully it's a success. I mean, the batter tasted okay, and usually if the batter tastes okay, then the cake should taste okay. At least that's my logic anyway. But fingers crossed the cake is good and you've learned something useful from today, and you can go and implement what I've just discussed. So I'll be back next week with another episode. Any comments, any questions, any insights, ping them in the comments and I'll give them a read through. Other than that, have a wonderful day.